I know certain things with drivers, and I know
Yeah, no, they were good. They were good. The lady that was in our place here, though, she was. She was out of Colorado, I think. Yeah. But they did a good job. He managed to take over 1.7 million, so we went after 4. Every stretch 7.
higher, I can tell you what's going on. They had people there to go through the paperwork and what's the date. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing it individually. I'm just trying to pull everything in one. I've got some marriage prep stuff that works in the marriage prep.
But it's stayed on.
But it can be smart to do it. Well, different. Do I know you from Sunday worship? Before they go to Mexico, right after they come back, they're going to start work.
All the grades are changing and fight back to the old. Well, no. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, and it comes in and full household irrigation. That's what these pipes are for him. There's a check on every box to check that back up. Now, flood irrigation, and then pump in there, sprinkle your yard or you flood your yard. Like, no, but it comes out of the
Kind of make time when they can come in, do it, 1, 2, 3, and all that. I love it. It might be like need to let you know something. The minister, X-rays. That's all you need now. So that's our you like the rings, this, and the very that's fine. This is all we need. So there's something in it. It's theology. It's
that was my
and also to really just just so busy, like, it starts getting into bigger pieces. Going into Eucharist, and then, but then, it's part of DVD series, theology of stuff. It's called God's Plan for Joyful. Produced in the century, and they have all these
Others are dear.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Father Rod Weckerly, and I have the privilege of being the pastor of the Catholic community here in Jerome. I know most of you, and I've had an opportunity to meet some of you for the first time in a while. Welcome. In order to get started, as we do all things Catholic, just invite you to remain seated, bow your heads, and let's begin with prayer this evening. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good and gracious God, at the end of a really spectacular, beautiful, sun-filled day, we gather as your people to give you thanks for the blessings that have been showered upon us in so many ways. Blessings of family, blessings of faith, blessings of riches. We give you thanks for these. We ask your continued guidance and spirit as we use these blessings to build up your kingdom, to make your vision of our world a reality in where we live. We ask your blessings on the speakers this night, our presenters. We ask your blessings upon our diocese, so large and wide and vast, so many different needs. We ask you to allow us to care for them as Jesus would. Bless our evening this night, bless our church, bless us all, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting us tonight. It's a beautiful church. I've had the opportunity to come and visit a couple of times now, and I've just loved coming. My name is Adrienne Smith, and I'm the Director of Development at the Diocese. I've been there for 2 months now. Excited to be a part of the team, and we've been out visiting with different deaneries and talking about the finances and where we have been, where we are going, and why it's so important to have a capital campaign at this time. So thank you for having us here tonight. And like I said, we're just taking time out, or you taking the time out to come and learn more about our diocesan finances. It shows that you want to ensure that we are using the funds wisely, as we always have, in a very thoughtful manner. And so we really appreciate you being here tonight. Bishop Michael was unable to be here this evening, but he did ask that I read a letter for him in his absence. Dear friends in Christ, throughout the history of our diocese, dedicated clergy, religious, and laity have faithfully built the Catholic Church of Idaho through their witness and generous self-sacrifice. We who are beneficiaries of this rich history know, however, that the challenges faced in the past remain present today and call for renewed action as we discern what kind of church we want to hand over to our future generations. Our pastoral plan, All at the Table, provides a sense of purpose and direction as together we work to make our church ever more vibrant and relevant by engaging our youth and young adults, nurturing strong Christ-centered communities, building Christian discipleship, and enhancing the life and ministries of all who serve the church, especially our ordained and consecrated religious. Part of our envisioning and preparing for the future also means securing the financial resources necessary for us to renew, strengthen, and sustain our ministries in service to each other and to those who are most in need. It is with this in mind that I have made the decision to move forward with the diocesan-wide capital campaign, building on our past, envisioning our future. In order to help parish leaders better understand why a capital campaign is needed at this time, I have asked our diocesan staff and Catholic Charities of Idaho to to travel to each deanery to present a financial snapshot regarding the Diocese of Boise, the Idaho Catholic Foundation, and Catholic Charities of Idaho. They will also talk about our upcoming capital campaign and answer any questions you might have. Even though I'm not able to be with you in person, please be assured of my thoughts and prayers as you work with me to build up the Church of God here in Idaho. I believe this is truly an exciting, creative, and holy time for our diocese. If we are strong in our unity and purpose, I have no doubt that God will bless us in ways we cannot imagine. Sincerely yours in Christ, Most Reverend Michael P. Driscoll, Bishop of Idaho. So, as you know, one of the most important roles Bishop Mike has is to order the Church of Jesus as Jesus would. And he is doing this by asking us from the diocese and from Catholic Charities to come out and talk with you about the finances. We've built up the church in so many different ways in the past, and moving forward, it's important that we do the same. And he strongly feels that by raising the funds for with the capital campaign, we can do that, and we can build for our future. Tonight we've got Chuck Lawrence here, who's going to be talking about the diocese finances. He's going to be talking about how our revenue is generated and our expenses, and go through that line by line. He's also going to talk about the Idaho Catholic Foundation, which some of you may or may not know was started in 1990 by Bishop Brown. And Bishop Brown had a vision to allow Catholics and encourage Catholics to donate and really build the longevity of the church and trust that those funds would be doing just that. And so the Idaho Catholic Foundation has been in existence since 1990. It hasn't been as active. The role of the directors haven't been as active. It's been an active foundation, but we haven't had an active board of directors. And so right now what we're doing is we're building that board of directors statewide so that we can we're going to be holding all of those funds in the Catholic Foundation. So we also have Landis Rossi here, who many of you know is from Jerome. So she's here with Catholic Charities as the executive director to talk about the mission and the goals of Catholic Charities of Idaho and what they're doing in our communities statewide to help build the Catholic Church in Idaho, and not just Catholics, but everyone. Also, we've got our friends and consultants from Guidance and Giving who are going to be talking about the capital campaign, and we would just really welcome any questions and conversation, because that's exactly what the bishop wanted us to do. He wanted us to come out, talk, engage in conversation, answer questions, and just have a healthy discussion about the finances of the diocese, Idaho Catholic Foundation, and Catholic Charities, and talk about what our vision is for the future and how we can build that with the capital campaign. So, without further ado, I think we can start with Chuck Lawrence. And if I may ask, we'd like to just ask that all questions be, we just wait until the end of the evening to ask the questions, and then I'll go ahead and go around it. And we can get that taken care of at the end, so we can listen to the presentations first. So thank you so much.
Can people hear me without using the mic? I've been told by my lovely missus I can project very well, I just don't listen very well. So I'll try to worry about the listening problem after when we talk about any questions that you have. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Chuck Lawrence. I'm Director of Finance for the Diocese. Been a lifelong Catholic. Went to Catholic grade school, and I got an MBA from the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. I've been married to my lovely missus for over 20 years, and I have 2 teenage children, one of which is attending Bishop Kelly. I moved to here, Idaho, about 17 years ago. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the finances of the diocese and trends, what's going to happen, why we need the capital campaign. First of all, we've got all this wonderful handouts. We'd just like to refer you just real quickly to page 2. As you know that Bishop Mike takes fiscal responsibility and transparency seriously. Most of you know that the financial statements of the diocese are audited. We present the results not only in the ICR, but they're also on the website. So if you want, for those of you, you can see the 40-page thing on our website and print it out and read it if you want. But what we were looking for is, as we go back to specifically this thing, want to train your eyes toward the total revenues and support. If you notice, from 2010 to 2011, total support went down. It went from 9 million down to 8.5 million. Now, Bishop Mike also is very good stewardship of diocesan funds, so if you also notice, the total expenses went down from 2010 to 2011, making sure that we spent appropriately. Now then, I just want to give you some perspective. I want to change back to the total revenue and support, just to give you some idea. The total diocesan collections for us was about 14 million in 2011. Now then, if I add all the special collections that were done by all the different parishes, it was over $23 million in 2011. But one of the reasons why we're here is this talks about our financial position today. What we're looking at is, why do we need the capital campaign? What's it going to do for us? For that, I just want to talk about some of the trends that we see that's going to happen. First of all, healthcare and insurance costs. In 2006, insurance for the diocese, property, casualty, and medical, it was 3.1 in 2006, 3.3 in 2007, 4.2 in 2008, 4.4 in 2009. Had a good year in 2010, it went down to 4.1. But in 2011, it went up to 4.8. A majority of these costs are indeed the health costs that we have. We all know insurance costs, how it's increasing items. What we project by 2015, our total insurance costs will, as a diocese, will be over $7 million. Another thing that we have is priest retirement. Let's give you some background on some things. The IO ratio of priests to Catholics is about 3,000 to 1. The U.S. ratio is 1375 to 1. Presently, we have 46 active diocesan priests, 24 retired. However, in 5 years, 11 will be eligible to retire. So what we're saying, in 5 years, we'll have as many active as we have retired. Scary thought. The average age of a retired priest is 79. As our priests age, they often experience ongoing health challenges that require our care and attention. When one of our priests has extraordinary needs, such as specialized nursing care or medical costs beyond their means, special funding is required to help them with the medical costs. Right? Last year, as you can see from the results on page 2, it was about 650,000. Now, if I just do the ratio, just saying, okay, there's an additional 11 that's going to retire, not putting any inflation index, anything into it, by 2015, it could go potentially be $950,000. Now, if you're going to say, geez, Chuck, that would never happen. One of the things I don't have on here is in 2008, we had over $1 million that we spent on special needs for priests. So it has happened in the past. But what we project, it will be coming back up into the future. Seminary and education. We talked about the priest shortage. One of the things we have to do is think about how we can invest to make sure that we have the clergy, the leaders that we need for the future. In the last 6 years, we had 13 priests ordained. It cost about $1.7 million, which is roughly about $35,000 a year. Now the costs are going up to about $37,000 $1,000 a year. Now, it takes a seminarian anywhere from 7 to 9 years to meet the educational requirements, which means our investment for each seminarian is anywhere from $260,000 to $333,000. Now, the number of years depends upon the undergrad about how much time they have in theology or philosophy. If they don't have that part of the undergrad degree, that's when more years are added to get up to the 9 years. Presently, we have 8 seminarians. Our goal is actually to more than double that. Our goal is to get up to 20 by 2015. Now, we have 8 now. We have 4 more additional ones that are coming on this fall for a total of 12. Based on that, our costs will rise for the educational portion from $296,000 to over $740,000 a year for the education of our seminarians. As we continue to seek out, encourage, and support men interested in serving our church, we know that our current revenue sources will not be adequate to fund this vital ministry that ultimately benefits all of us. Building and capital projects. The Church of God in Idaho is alive and well and is evidenced by the number of building projects over the past several years. In fact, we completed over $6 million of construction projects within the last year. We expect this trend to continue as our parishes respond to growing Catholic population. In 2005, we had 146,000 Catholics. In 2011, it is estimated that we have 170,000. This campaign will help to strengthen our parishes and help them meet their own local needs. Parish school operations. The diocese supports 14 Catholic schools, and with only $124,000 from the diocese, because the bulk of the school expenses are funded at the individual parish and school levels. The diocesan support of $130,000, what that includes is MAP testing. It includes a resource person and a sounding board for school board issues and school issues, and coordinating and educating the school leaders on trends in the educational community. Now, many Catholics feel that a Catholic education is like a consumer product. You know, if you can afford it, you send your kids there. But studies show from the University of Notre Dame and the National Opinion Center campaign show that Catholic schools are an unquestioned success in every way, spiritually, academically, and communally. Catholic graduates are lifetime practitioners of our faith. Catholic graduates have been, are, and will be leaders in our church and in our society. This campaign will provide a long-term financial plan that includes endowments, which will fund stable funding sources for our schools through scholarships. Thus, while the diocesan promotes and values Catholic education, the investments in these scholarships will allow the schools to ease the financial burden on not only themselves, but the parents that send their children to the schools. The Idaho Catholic Foundation. As Adrian mentioned, the Idaho Catholic Foundation was established in 1990 by Bishop Brown. The purpose of the foundation to assist donors in providing for the long-term needs of the Diocese of Boise by raising funds and holding the invested assets for the diocese and related schools and parishes in managed groups of funds. Now, what some of you may not know, to create greater transparency and separation, Bishop Mike had the foundation separately incorporated in the state of Idaho in 2007. So not only are they separately incorporated, they also have their own individual tax ID number. Now then, I just want to refer you to page 3, just very briefly on the Idaho Catholic Foundation, that as you can see is on the administration expenses, they're only in the 3 to 4% range. That should give you a level of comfort to know the money's in there is spent wisely. Now then, where's the Idaho Catholic Foundation? Part of it is there's $14 million totally invested in the ICF. There's 51 funds. If you want, they're all listed on there. Of those 51 funds, 25 are diocesan funds, 13 are school, 11 are parish, and 2 are miscellaneous funds. Now then, let's tell you the exciting part. What was distributed from the ICF? 2007, $423,000. 2008, $818,000. 2009, $340,000. 2010, $255,000. 2011, $282,000. Now, before we go any further, you know, I don't want you to say, hey, Chuck, you got 818 up there. Is that a mistake? Did you do something wrong or something? Just want to say, do remember what we talked about. We said of those funds, some are school and parishes. It happened in 2008, there was a construction project. And what happened is one of the parishes took money out of their endowment to pay for that construction on it. So that's the reason why. They used the profits that they made from the investments to help them out. What will we be able to distribute in 2015? Gosh, depends on the success of this capital campaign, and guidance and giving will help us with some of the deals of what the funds will be going for. So I don't want to steal their thunder. A couple of the other things to let you know. The $14 million, it is actively and professionally managed. What we have is we have a manager out of Seattle that oversees the funds. They are separated into 10 different investments, from international to fixed to equity, to make sure that we are diversified so that we can make profit on it for the investment to give out for distributions. Now that we typically meet or exceed the established payment funds. Let me give you a frame of reference. What we do is on a quarterly basis, we sit down with our fund managers to check things out, see what we're doing, see where we're at. In March, actually in April, when we went over the first quarter report, the benchmark for the Idaho Catholic Foundation was 8.2%. We actually got investment income of 9.3%. So we beat it by 1% over the benchmark. Now don't ask me what happened in May or June because I don't know yet. But just to let you know, it is being actively managed, and the payback is well on it. The investments are doing well. We're diversified like we should be. Now that we also let you know is that we also have an investment plan. It is 18 pages that we give to each one of the fund managers to make sure that they follow it. So it's not a willy-nilly thing. This is what we expect. This is how we manage the funds. In addition to that, we also have what we call the PPG, which means Prudent Person Guidance. It's what would a prudent person do? So what we do is, if an endowment does not specifically have rules on how we're supposed to distribute, what we use is a PPG. And what we do is we take 5% of the average value of the endowment account over the preceding year, and then we distribute that out into where the funds are supposed to go. And like we had said, it's on there. A lot of them, you'll see the names, so you'll kind of understand where they're supposed to go. Now then, there's some funds where they say you cannot. They are permanently restricted on what they can and cannot do. So once again, we follow the rules of what each one of the endowments is. We also have what we call an SRI, which is socially responsible investing. What we do on that is the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, they have guidelines on how you're supposed to invest to make sure that they're within the Catholic teachings. Within the last couple of years, we've had 8 different stocks that we had to sell because they did not meet the Catholic teachings, the Catholic parameters that we expect the investments to do. So, not only did we get a great return where we beat the benchmark, we're being socially responsible as we do the investing. Now, like Adrian had mentioned, for the past several years, the ICF board has not really been that active. However, we are in the process of energizing the foundation with new board of directors from all corners of the diocese. All the capital campaigns funds will be held in the foundation, and each will be under a new fund designation, so we can distinguish between the capital campaign and the Idaho Catholic Appeal. Why are we doing that? Because remember, the Idaho Catholic Appeal provides for current operational needs. The capital campaign is for the future of the diocese. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time. I appreciate your dedication to the church. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Landis, the Director of Catholic Charities.
You guys hear me okay? Okay, good. So I'm home. I'm so happy to be here. I see many friendly faces in the audience, and I was born and raised in Jerome, and I still have a lot of family who live there. I actually came to stay with my grandma who went to Boise. My grandma decided to go to Boise today when I came to stay with them. But my husband and I were married here 15 years ago in this church. We have 2 beautiful little boys, and it's really great to be home and to see friendly faces. And I got in way too much trouble with Mr. Neff's daughter in high school, so he knows me pretty well. And I'd also like to introduce John Fiedler, who's one of our longtime board members, going on 9 years, who has been a road warrior with me and is here to answer any questions from a board perspective about Catholic Charities. So I appreciate him being here and having his support. He'll be able to answer any questions, and he likes questions, so if you have them, send them. So I'm really here to talk to you tonight about Catholic Charities and our mission, why we exist, recognizing that there's a lot of people out there who don't know anything about Catholic Charities. They've heard about it, but they don't see us in their community. They don't know what we do, and that's something that we recognize and are going to be working on. So I'll be talking to you a little bit about that. I'll talk to you about our history and our purpose, the services that we offer, and then also, of course, talk to you about our financial situation as well. Catholic Charities of Idaho is a separate 501c nonprofit organization, separate from the diocese. We have our own board of directors, as you can see from John. We have 17 board members from across the state who represent different areas. We have our own articles of incorporation, we have our own bylaws, and really operate as a faith-based nonprofit organization in the state. The Bishop of Boise, by his role, Bishop Driscoll, sits on our board, and he's the president of our board. We have family strengthening centers located across the state, one in Coeur d'Alene, one in Nampa, one in Boise, one in Jerome, and our newest one will be opening in Idaho Falls. We just hired someone, we'll have somebody on staff at the beginning of July. We'll start services out of Idaho Falls. We also are administrative offices where I work, and our director of operations and a few others work at the Diocese on Federal Way. We're up there on the 5th floor, so that's where all of our administrative offices are. We have 21 employees across the state. We also utilize VISTA volunteers and Jesuit volunteers, interns, all kinds of different individuals to help us be able to deliver services. We are young. There are a lot of Catholic charities across the country who are well over 100 years old. Spokane is celebrating their 100-year anniversary this year. Catholic charities across the country, they're one of the largest. When you put us all together, we are one of the largest providers of social services in the country. You add the Catholic health institutions into that, we're huge. We are the largest. So we definitely have a strong network behind us, but we're young, we're growing, and we act like an 11-year-old. I have an 11-year-old boy, and that's kind of what we act like. We are really the social service arm of the Catholic Church. We work with St. Vincent de Paul and others, but that's how I like to describe our work. We are the social service mission side of the church. Catholic Relief Services International, we get a lot of checks for Catholic Relief Services, and we have to, unfortunately, send them back because people think that they can send them to Catholic charities, and it's really a separate organization. CRS is the international arm of the church, and we are the domestic arm of the church. Our foundation is really based on the 7 Catholic social teachings. That's where our work comes from, that drives us, that helps us make our decisions, and grounds us in our faith with Catholic social teaching. We exist to strengthen families and reduce poverty. We truly believe that if families are strong, there's going to be less poverty in this state. So that's what we strive for, is to strengthen families in our communities. But we also like to build community. We like to work with the different providers, with the parishes, with whoever it is that's interested in helping make sure that families are strong and interested in reducing poverty. So building community in that way. So programs and services, this is where I clear up a lot of confusion about what we do. We do not provide basic needs. I see us as part of a continuum. When I say basic needs, like food, shelter, clothing, we don't do that. We let the other organizations who do that really well do that. We don't believe in duplicating services. St. Vincent de Paul, that's what they do. They are really good at that. We are not. We are that next step in the continuum. When a family is no longer in crisis, when they have food, when they have shelter, when they have clothing, that's where Catholic Charities can step in and say, okay, how do we help this family not slip back into crisis? How do we help this family on the pathway out of poverty? So our services are really delivered at a professional level, most of the time by master level social workers, bachelor level social workers, or individuals who are accredited to do the work that they're doing. We have 4 core services. Our first one, counseling and education. One of the things that we know in relationship to poverty is people who have mental health issues or who just have continual crises in their lives, oftentimes can't hold down jobs, they have other issues going on. So we are there to help with counseling and education. Education is primarily parenting classes, English language classes. In your community, we do English language classes. We also do parenting classes. Father Ron, you're going to be so excited about my next announcement. You're not going to be able to stand it. Ready? We're going to start delivering counseling services in Jerome towards the middle of July. So we'll be able to accept insurance. We'll be able to accept insurance. Huh? Well, don't push it. English for now. English for now. As far as as mental health counseling goes, Kent, who is a master's level social worker, will be able to deliver those classes. But we actually brainstormed today, and we have a really good idea around how we might be able to deliver Spanish counseling in Spanish. And that is one of the needs that we hear from every corner of the state, with the exception of North Idaho, is the need for bilingual, bicultural counselors. Trying to find those individuals who have the qualifications to do that is really difficult. And then to be able to afford them is even more difficult. So it's a challenge, but something that we're strategizing around how we do that. For the first time ever, we actually have 2 bilingual interns who are interning in our Boise office from NNU. So now at least we're starting to see students who are being trained to do it, who are bilingual and bicultural. So hopefully we start to build some capacity in the state to be able to do that. But counseling will start here towards the middle of July. Our counseling is a sliding fee scale. So if the person doesn't have insurance, their cost is based on their income. But we're also just in July going to be able to accept private insurance. So they'll be able to take Blue Cross, Blue Shield, all of those, and be able to do counseling in Jerome. So we're really excited about that. Economic stability. There's research, new research that's coming out around poverty and what are the strategies that you help people, how do you help people move out of poverty? Financial literacy education, making sure people know how to manage a budget, making sure they know the risks, what happens when you go to the payday lending places, helping them understand how to take care of their finances. But also asset development. When I say asset development, I'm talking about home ownership, a college education, some sort of accredited type of education or a certificate, or small business ownership. That is a program that we have where we take, for every $1 that an individual saves for their home, we will match it with $2. They can save up to $6,000 to purchase their home. It's a really new and exciting program, and a lot of people are interested in it, and it's evidence-based, which makes me really excited about it, because it's showing that it's actually a strategy that's going to help a family move out of poverty. Immigration legal services, another one of our really large programs, and another one that's in heavy demand across the state. We have a staff attorney and BIA accredited individuals who will work and do consultations with individuals who are here who are undocumented. They will determine whether or not this person has a pathway to citizenship, and if they do, based on the case and what's required to help them get on that pathway, we may accept it, we may not. We may have to make a referral out if it's pretty complicated. That service, right now it's all in Nampa. People can come in and do drive a long ways for consultations with our attorney. But we are looking at expansion toward this way, towards Jerome and towards eastern Idaho because of the demand for that program. Also in immigration services, we also do citizenship classes and different things like that around immigration. And the last thing is strengthening communities. And this really ties back to our work in the parishes, and something that over the last 2 years we have really kind of made it a priority to be in the parishes, those parishes that want to see us, who are interested in social justice, who are interested in Catholic social teaching, and working in their parishes to learn more about social justice issues. So we haven't done a lot of work in the Jerome parish. We actually haven't done hardly any work in this deanery at all in this area. We've been heavily focused in the north, and then we just started in Pocatello. But our intent is to target 2 parishes in the Western Deanery this year. And St. Ed's and St. Jerome's are on our list. So that's again in partnership with the parish. If the parish wants work in that area, then we can help with that. We also do legislative work, education and advocacy, helping policymakers understand the plight of the low-income individual. When they make a decision around policy, how does that affect a low-income family? We have really great relationships with our legislators and with local policymakers, and we're really the only nonprofit, faith-based nonprofit organization who's out there talking to legislators about the issues that are facing the people in Idaho who are in poverty face. We do that with an intern and myself, and it's great work. I'm very, very passionate about it. It was a little intimidating at first, but it's certainly, when you sit down and you talk to someone about what it's like to live in poverty who has never experienced it before, like I've never experienced it before, but when I work with families and I see what it's like and I can tell their stories, it really can help you see things in a different light. So our finances, you'll see on the back of your handout, you will see our where we are at financially. We have about a $1.2 million budget. One of the things that we're really focused on in the organization is having a diverse funding stream. A lot of organizations, especially nonprofits, depend heavily on federal funds or state funds, large contracts, and we do not. We have a small amount of federal funds, small amount of contracts. We have a very diversified pie when you look at it. I'm really proud to say that we have our largest contribution is just from general donations, which is from those of you who contribute to Catholic charities and make it possible for us to serve anyone who walks through our door. We do not just serve Catholics. We are a Catholic charity. We accept anyone who comes through our door. And the only way that we can do that is to have general contributions that provide us the flexibility to be able to do that. If we can serve someone, we make sure they have a warm handout. Who can help you with that food box? Who can help you find that coat for your child? We can help them do that. Let's see what else I'm going to answer. The diocese does support Catholic charities through the Idaho Catholic Appeal. When you give to the Idaho Catholic Appeal, you are giving to Catholic charities. We get about $220,000 a year. It's about 10% of the Catholic Appeal that comes in to Catholic charities. And we also get $80,000 a year from the foundation that Chuck was talking about. We get about $80,000 from the Idaho Catholic Foundation. We too have an annual audit from an independent auditor. They come in and they spend about 2 weeks on site with us, going through our books, making sure we're coding everything the way we're supposed to be coding it, making sure that our board is looking at our finances every quarter, really making sure that we are following our policies and procedures as it relates to our finances. Our audits and our tax returns, all of that, you can find it online on GuideStar. You can find our audits, as Chuck showed, ours is also online. So anything you ever want to know about the finances of Catholic charities, you can find it. If you can't, call me, I can get it. Our administrative rate, one of the things that donors often look at when they're looking at who they want to support with their treasure, they're looking at how much of that dollar that I give you is actually going for direct services versus paying the salary of the executive director and the others who are paying the bills. We are at about 14%, which is right in line, probably lower than most of social service organizations of our size. So I'm really proud of that administrative rate. The other thing that people look at is your cost of fundraising. How much of your money am I using to raise more money? You want that number to be low. We're right at 7%, under the national average for organizations similar to us of our size. So we're right in line with all of those. Again, I really want to tell you how excited I am to be here tonight. It's really fun to come home. Last night we were in Pocatello at St. Joseph's. Yeah, is that right? Built in 1897.